Hamas breaks the ceasefire with Israel sending large barrages of rockets into Israeli population centers yet again. How did they get so many rockets and so many rockets ready to launch at Israel? Oh yeah, there was something called a ceasefire. Exactly what we thought would happen. The IDF is now hard at work back in the Gaza Strip, rooting out Hamas terrorists, and Joe Biden is finally recognizing that Israel is trying to avoid killing civilians in Gaza. Hold on one second. Never mind, Kamala Harris says to scratch that. I'm just and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show. We have a lot to talk about what is happening in the Gaza Strip with the ceasefire ending and all of that. But first, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on all notifications if you don't want to miss an episode of the Israel Guys. We're coming to you every single day of the week. Make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms, especially Twitter. We're really growing our Twitter page there. You can also follow me on Twitter. Or now they call it X, right? The link for all that is down in the description below. Guys, first off, I just wanted to address the stash here, the mustache. It's not something I usually do, but I'm doing it now in support of the IDF. It's kind of a fun thing you can do, but also it shows solidarity standing with the IDF. If some of you haven't seen, you can watch this video here. There you go, guys. The Nazi hunters of the IDF, the guys who are going in and taking out these evil, evil terrorists. Hamas is ISIS. Hamas is just like the Nazis, represents so much evil. And the heroes of the IDF are going in, rooting out and sacrificing their lives to eradicate this evil from the land of Israel here. So if you have a mustache or would like to join the movement, show solidarity with the IDF, you could do that. Post it on social media and tag the Israel Guys. You can also use the hashtag Nazi Hunters as well. The IDF supporting the IDF fighting Hamas in Gaza. All right, the ceasefire. The ceasefire with Gaza between Israel and Hamas is over. And, well, let's just say that it went exactly as expected. Hamas broke the ceasefire on Friday morning. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But the ceasefire was supposed to be for 3 to 4 days in the beginning. They've agreed to a 3 to 4 day ceasefire where they were going to release 50 Israeli hostages and I believe like 140 Palestinian prisoners inside of Israeli jails who are being held on charges of terrorism in Israeli jail. So they're releasing there, and also for humanitarian aid to come into Gaza. A lot of things in the ceasefire. We talked a lot about that last week. Very unbalanced, you can say. But so that was the beginning of it. That went, a little bit shaky, dealing with Hamas, dealing with a terrorist. You're basically dealing with the devil here, making deals with the devil with the hostage, the ceasefire. And the 50 hostages were released. Then they decided to extend the ceasefire for several more days after that, releasing an additional number of Israeli hostages and Palestinian terrorist prisoners inside of Israeli jails. Again, an unequal number. And if you want to know more about that, watch the shows from last week. But the ceasefire, the Hamas broke the ceasefire. It was supposed to continue at least, I think, through Friday. And early Friday morning, Hamas launched a barrage of missiles at Israeli towns, breaking the ceasefire. Now, they did this immediately after the ceasefire went into effect the Friday before, 15 minutes after the ceasefire went into effect at 7 a.m. Hamas fired rockets at 7:15 a.m. Israel did nothing because I think they wanted obviously wanted the ceasefire deal to go through, and maybe if they didn't respond, Hamas wouldn't continue, and it actually turned out to be the case. And thank God, 50 hostages were released in that first round. So the ceasefire was still in effect. Hamas launches rockets, and then Israel says, okay, that's it. We're responding. And Israel is back now fighting full force with Hamas, and Hamas is full force launching rockets back into Israel. Now, let me tell you, Hamas used this time to full advantage, just like everybody predicted they would, or everybody that could actually see the situation with common sense. Hamas used it to rebuild defensive positions, to rebuild, restockpile their armaments, get rockets ready for launching. They most likely smuggled more arms, more rockets, more weapons over from Egypt through possibly tunnels. There's not a lot of facts about that, but that's most likely the case there. And launched an insane amount of rockets from Gaza into Israel over the last, it's been 3 days now since the ceasefire was broken. And you can see in this video here from Saturday night, massive barrage of rockets just pouring over from Gaza into the heart of Tel Aviv, into the center city region of Israel here. Also, this second video here, you can hear as these rockets are being launched, the crowds of Palestinians that are standing around cheering for these rockets that are launched from terrorist positions, a lot of them located underneath schools, right next to playgrounds, underneath hospitals, next to hospitals and mosques. All of that, they're launching them into Israeli civilian centers, and the so-called innocent Palestinian civilians, those ones that the world is claiming Israel is committing genocide against, which is completely unfactual, those civilians are cheering as these rockets are going towards Israeli civilians to try and kill Israeli civilians. It gives you a little bit of more of a glimpse of what is actually happening in the Gaza Strip. So overall, there were 230 Palestinian terrorists, over 230 Palestinian terrorists who were released from Israeli prisons back to their homes. And actually, many of their homes were located inside of Judea and Samaria. The good part about the ceasefire is 105 Israeli hostages, 105 hostages. Most of them were Israeli. There were some foreign nationals that were also taken hostage as well that were released from Gaza during the ceasefire. Now, this is absolutely incredible. Every life matters, and we are so thankful that these hostages were able to return home, able to return to their families. If you haven't seen the videos of these hostages reuniting with their families, go check those out. Maybe we'll put some links down in the description below. But that is absolutely phenomenal. Make sure to have a box of tissues there with you. But absolutely heartwarming and amazing to see these hostages who went through God knows what at the hands of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, now being returned and reunited with their families back in the land of Israel. Absolutely incredible. We still need to pray because there's over 100 more hostages, they think, being held in the Gaza Strip. Some of them are not alive. They know that, and hopefully most of them are still alive, but continue to pray for the speedy release of those hostages from the hands of Hamas. The IDF, as making up for lost time during the ceasefire, hard at work back in the Gaza Strip to root out the terrorists of Hamas. And we need to keep saying this because the world is shifting its opinion, and has quickly shifted its opinion to trying to stop the war, trying to stop Israel from rooting out Hamas. This is from the Jewish News Syndicate. Israeli forces continue to expand ground operations in the Gaza Strip overnight on Saturday, striking some 200 Hamas terror targets. Arab and Israeli media reported on IDF attacks throughout the Gaza Strip overnight Sunday and into the early hours of Monday this morning, including an extensive operation in the southern Gaza Strip near Rafah and Khan Yunis. So now they're moving down into the south of Gaza, operating there. In the north, in the Shayaya region, as well as in the Tufa neighborhood east of Gaza City. So lots of places they're working. The IDF Negev Brigade destroyed terrorist infrastructure set up in a school in Beit Hanun that was used to attack Israeli forces. 2 tunnel shafts were located in the school complex, one of which included an area for cargo and weapons. Also on Sunday, an Israeli airstrike killed the Shati battalion commander, Haitham Kalwajari, Hamas dude. His name is absolutely unimportant. Hamas dude, head commander responsible for the October massacre, the October 7th massacre. In addition to directing the raids of the October 7th assault on southern Israel, the IDF said that Kawajari secured Hamas terrorist activity in the Shifa hospital and was in command of Hamas forces fighting against Israeli soldiers in the Shati area. He was also responsible for carrying out numerous attacks, terror attacks against Israelis. So as you can see, the IDF is working very hard, taking out a massive number of terror targets in the Gaza Strip, and also taking out the terrorist leaders. Thankfully, this leader, Hamas leader, was taken out, who's largely responsible for the October 7th massacre and multiple terror attacks against Israelis. Sadly, there is a price to pay for rooting out these evil terrorists. The IDF announced this morning the names of 3 Israeli soldiers who fell in combat yesterday on Sunday. The soldiers' names were Sergeant Major Neria Sha'er, 36 years old, from Yavne, Sergeant First Class Ben Zusman, 22, from Jerusalem, and Sergeant Benjamin Yehoshua Needham, 19, who's from Zikron Yaakov. The heroes. These guys are heroes, sacrificing their lives to bring security to the state of Israel, to the civilians, the people of Israel, and rooting out Hamas in the Gaza Strip. We'll be right back to the show in just 1 second, but first, you need to embrace the spirit of giving this holiday season and choose a gift that transcends time and is filled with profound wisdom. We've got it, the Israel Bible. More than just a Hebrew Bible, the Israel Bible acts as a powerful bridge connecting hearts from many different backgrounds. It's a tangible symbol of unity and understanding, fostering a deep connection to the Holy Land of Israel. We have the Israel Bible, and it is truly a wonderful tool to understanding the scriptures. The Bible isn't just a history book. It's a guide to what's unfolding in our world right now. The Israel Bible, with its insightful commentary, sheds light on God's unwavering focus on the land of Israel, revealing why the destiny of humanity is intricately tied to this small yet significant country. Picture holding a resource that effortlessly blends the original Hebrew text with clear, accurate English translations. The Israel Bible breathes life into those ancient words in a way you've never experienced before. If you're yearning to deepen your connection with God's Word in the Holy Land, consider gifting yourself or a loved one the Israel Bible this holiday season. You can click the link down in the description below to discover more and embark on a journey to understanding the sacred scriptures and finding peace and solace amidst the holiday bustle. Click the link down in the description below. The United States, Joe Biden's administration, is finally recognizing that Israel tries to avoid killing civilian casualties, right? Well, they did and they didn't. Depends on who you talk to, whether you're talking to whether John Kirby is talking or whether Kamala Harris is talking about it. The U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said yesterday on Sunday, quote, "We believe Israel has been receptive to our messages in terms of trying to minimize civilian casualties. In the last 24 to 48 hours, the IDF published an online map of places where people could go to avoid combat, to find safety from combat. There is not a whole lot of modern militaries that would do that." Absolutely, there are not a lot of modern militaries, and I don't even know. Haven't heard other examples of this. I'm sure there are other examples, but very few of militaries going into and releasing images, maps to the civilian population, which also obviously is going to fall into the hands of the terrorists they're trying to kill, releasing these maps of where people can go to avoid being hit by these strikes, which are obviously targeted at terrorists, not civilians, not targeted at civilians, targeted at terrorist positions and terrorist locations there. The IDF is doing this, and I just thought this was slightly funny, but slightly not funny that John Kirby is trying to take credit from the Biden administration, saying they've been receptive to our messages from the United States, telling them to minimize civilian casualties. Yeah, like Israel wasn't doing that before. Everybody knows, everybody that can actually see with 2 eyes and understand clearly, has common sense, can see that Israel for decades has gone bent over backwards to avoid civilian casualties, many times at the cost and risk of their own soldiers inside the Gaza Strip, and actually fighting anywhere in Jenin and these different places, Shechem and Ramallah. They warn the civilian population, go out of their way to do that to avoid civilian casualties. But, you know, John Kirby, he wants to take credit for this, saying the United States, you know, pressured them and urge them to avoid civilian casualties in there. Okay, absolutely fine, but I'm glad the IDF is recognizing, or the U.S. is admitting that Israel does avoid civilian casualties because the media is saying the exact opposite. He also added that they're making an effort. There's another statement he made, making an effort to avoid the civilian casualties. So that's good, right? The Biden administration said, yes, they're avoiding civilian casualties. Well, not so good, because here's what Kamala Harris had to say about it.
President Biden and I have been clear. Israel has a right to defend itself, and we will remain steadfast in that conviction. President Biden and I have also been clear, as Israel defends itself, it matters how. The United States is unequivocal. International humanitarian law must be respected. Too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Frankly, the scale of civilian suffering and the images and videos coming from Gaza are devastating. As Israel pursues its military objectives in Gaza, we believe Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians.
Israel is not committing war crimes in the Gaza Strip. They're not violating these international humanitarian laws, as Kamala Harris says. We believe they should be strictly followed. Guys, it's very disappointing for me as an American Christian who is based out of Israel, working in Israel, reporting on what's happening here. It's very disappointing to see my government, the administration, Joe Biden's administration, they had this big show of support for Israel because of the terrible times Israel is going through right now, and it's very good. We're very appreciative of everything the Biden administration has done to actually help Israel, selling arms and giving aid to the Israeli military. But it's very disappointing to see that that always comes with a price. The support for Israel from especially the Biden administration, it's been with all the administrations in the American government, but especially the current one, it always comes with a price. Support for the nation of Israel always comes with some sort of little price tag attached to it. And most of the time that comes in the forms of, well, let's negotiate. Let's have talks with your enemies. Let's talk with the people who are trying to wipe you off the face of the earth, and let's try to make peace with them. The two-state solution, the Biden administration stands for the two-state solution. They want that to go through. They want that to be the solution here in the land of Israel. Guys, that's not good. That is a suicide note for the nation of Israel, for Israel to exist here in this area and in the biblical land of Israel itself. And then on top of that, what Kamala said and the remarks made this week about Israel, today, a senior delegation of Biden administration officials are coming to Israel to discuss, as the White House put it, quote, discuss the plans for Gaza after Hamas is defeated. So post-war, if Israel is able to continue and wipe out Hamas from the Gaza Strip, they're going to go talk about what comes after that. And obviously, we know that the United States is not going to push for Israeli rule over the area. They're not going to push for Israeli sovereignty in the Gaza Strip, which would make life for the Palestinians so much better than it is now under the current regime. And whatever the talks may be, we do know from the previous policies of Joe Biden's administration that it's not automatically going to be good for Israel. So we need to continue to keep our eyes out and pray for those talks and pray for the nation of Israel moving forward. And I would just encourage you guys as Christians to pray for what is best for the nation of Israel. When you're talking about international support and people coming in to help, that is all very good for the most part. But a lot of times, as I mentioned, it comes with a price. So let's pray for that our leaders in the United States would actually have a clear, be able to think past their political bias, which, at this point in our country, or the state of our country right now, it seems like impossible. It seems like we need a miracle, but that they could actually just think with common sense when it comes to Israel, what is best for the nation of Israel, the Jewish people, God's people who God promised the land of Israel to the nation of Israel. I mean, it's right there in the language there, that they would make the best decisions. Israel would be able to make the best decisions for herself, and that Israel's allies, like the United States, would be able to come alongside that and help what is actually best for Israel, and not shooting themselves in the foot or even in the head when it comes to trying to negotiate with Israel's enemies. And I'm talking about the Palestinians. It sounds harsh, but guys, the Palestinians' goal, their ideology is to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. They don't hide it. So I'm just speaking what they say. They want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So they are Israel's enemies. And when you try to negotiate and when you try to sweet talk to your enemies, most of the time it does not work. And a lot of the results of that, trying to do that, we saw on October 7th, the attack there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in to what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. I hope you're encouraged. Guys, please continue to pray. Continue to pray for the nation of Israel, for the safety of Israel's soldiers, for the hostages who are still held in Gaza, for the safety of Israel's borders, and just overall direction and guidance for Israel's leaders during these tough and difficult times. Thank you for standing with the nation of Israel. Thank you for being a proud Zionist. Your support does not go unnoticed. If you want, go ahead and drop that comment down in the comments below. I am a proud Zionist. I stand with Israel. We love seeing where you're watching from and connecting with you guys down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button so we get this video out to more people. And make sure to check out the Israel Bible. Don't forget the Israel Bible. Link is down in the description below. Pick one of those up for yourself. Absolutely amazing. Guys, tune out the fake news. Remember to tune out that fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.